Hello, everyone. Brian Neubert here from GoldandBlack.com, live in his house. It is Friday night. I am all by myself on this week's GoldandBlack.com Saturday Simulcast. The weather is nice outside. Summer is approaching, and that means Alan Karpik is on campus at the bars starting fights. Tom Dienhart is going through his Welcome Back Kotter DVDs as he does once a month this time of year. So it's just me this weekend for our GoldandBlack.com Saturday Simulcast. So I am just going to use this as an opportunity to talk a little bit about basketball. I did my prospectus series. I gave you three extensive prospecti. That's, I assume, plural for prospectus. I don't know. I've never actually looked it up, but it makes sense. Already before it was even the start of May, I think. And here I'm just going to talk about a few big picture points about basketball to create a little piece of content I can embed with other basketball stuff we write throughout the summer. Also, because I don't know anything about football right now. I don't know who's on the team. The players I know who are on the team that Purdue has added this spring, I don't know if they're good. That would be up to Tom to tell you. But as I mentioned before, he's binge watching Welcome Back Kotter this weekend. So it is just me. I just want to start off by thanking once again the Purdue Club Hotel for all their support, as well as the new Boiler House Prime Steakhouse there around the golf course. As if you've watched my videos in the past, I know one thing about you: you are both fancy and classy. And both the Purdue Club Hotel and the Boiler House Steakhouse, Boiler Prime Steakhouse, my bad, they're new to me too. Check both of those boxes, both fancy and classy, just like every GoldandBlack.com member, GoldandBlack.com subscriber. I told you I was going to talk about basketball, and here we go. So, as you know, Purdue is being viewed, insofar as rankings this time of year can be credible. I'd say they're credible only to a point. But Purdue is viewed at this point in time as, maybe the number one team in the country. A couple of rankings have come out putting Purdue first. Everyone will put them in the top five, and it kind of goes without saying why. I mean, you've got the best senior class in college basketball. You've got one of the best players in college basketball, two of the best players in college basketball. You've got a great three-man core that's been playing together for 3 years in Trey Kaufman, Braden Smith, and Fletcher Lawyer. You did a great job during the transaction cycle this spring, not only in keeping your most important guys, which in a lot of ways is more important than adding the guys that you want that might make an impact. It's about getting guys who complement what you're bringing back. But you can't do that if you don't bring everybody you really need back. And all due respect to the guys who left, bringing back Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman, not that there was ever any doubt for any of those guys that they were going to return. That's the most important part. And then going out and getting Oscar Clough, one of the best big men available in the portal, to address your prohibitive lack of size this year. The combination of him and Daniel Jacobson returning from injury now turns last season's albatross. We are once again besmirching the name of the poor innocent albatross, just because generations ago some seafaring colonial decided he was having a bad day and was going to forever label that bird as a problem. But anyway, the poor albatross. But Purdue's albatross last year obviously was its lack of size. It was the landmine that Purdue had to tiptoe around all season long. They had to scheme around it. They had to overcome it with sheer effort and overachievement. And it got them only so far, as you are aware. What difference Daniel Jacobson would have made? Probably a significant difference now that we look back on it, knowing what we know now. At the same time, he was a freshman, and he wasn't ready to play either. He would have had some really, really good days and some really, really bad days. Now he's healthy, he's bigger and stronger, he's pushing 260 pounds from what I understand. Oscar Clough comes in, takes pressure off him to be the guy right away the combination of those two guys, when Purdue's been its best, it's had two big guys who combined to be one elite big, and that might not be the case necessarily this year because neither of these guys is Zach Edey, neither of these guys is Caleb Swanigan, but they're big. They're really big. Oscar Clough was the best rebounder maybe available in the portal this year. Daniel Jacobson is 7'3", 7'4", is going to be an elite shot blocker, can do some things offensively, as well as Oscar Clough can as well. So you have turned a weakness into a strength, and I think you have every reason in the world to believe that the additions you made, Omer Meyer, the point guard, being another huge one, not just for now but for later, really, really big deal. Getting a legitimate backup point guard who can play with and without the ball, who can play with Braden Smith or instead of Braden Smith. You have the luxury now to take Braden Smith out of a game every now and then, if you want to, and if he'll let you. That might be the more important question. But you really did a great job this year in the transaction cycle. Liam Murphy, I don't anticipate him being a huge influence on winning and losing, because you basically recruited him to fill a need in your front court when in the best case scenario you don't get to that need very often. Trey Kaufman-Wren is now Purdue's four-man. Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobson, the two-headed monster that is Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobson, are now your five. You are big. You are going to play Trey Kaufman-Wren a really healthy amount of minutes. The minutes behind him at the four are going to be limited. If Raleigh Burgess plays next year, he will be in that mix. Liam Murphy obviously will be in that mix, but there's not a ton of minutes there to go around. Purdue needed somebody to have ready to play when needed, and it's just going to be a matter of how often that player is needed. But when Liam Murphy's on the floor, Matt Painter called him an elite shooter, somebody who's great at what he does, and it might just be that simple for him. Just come in, be a threat from three, space the floor, get the ball inside, things like that. But Purdue did a great job in the portal transaction cycle this year, and that's why they're viewed where they are. They're going to be the runaway preseason favorite again in the Big Ten. Didn't help them last year, but it is a no-brainer this year. They will be a top 5 team in the preseason. They do return a ton of experience in an era in college basketball where experience is a very, very precious commodity and a very rare commodity. It is going by the wayside, shall we say. Not necessarily experience as much as experience together. The continuity this core has is going to be unparalleled in college basketball because, as I said, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Fletcher Loyer, Braden Smith, they have been playing together for 3 full years now. I think every game, I think Braden Smith and Fletcher Loyer have started every game they've played in at Purdue. Trey Kaufman-Wren started every game last year, every game this year, and he will start every game this season too. So you're looking at 3 guys who are going to combine for a total of 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 years in total of starting every game for Purdue. And right now that number is only 8, but 8's a pretty good number. That's a ton of experience together, a body of experience that includes a lot of really important stuff in context here. Fletcher Loyer, Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Wren were all part of that team that went to the Final Four a couple years ago. They are used to what Purdue's going to face this year. The expectations, the reality that every time you go on the road, that game is the host school's Super Bowl. Those guys have been through that before. There is not going to have to be, presumably, any easing into that. Does Purdue have a bunch of guys on this team who've never been through that? Of course they do. But the leadership from those top 3 guys should be something that can help usher everybody else through it. There is nothing that can be experienced in college basketball that this team hasn't experienced, or this team's best players haven't experienced, and that is really, really something that very few teams can match in terms of luxuries going into this season. Offense, Purdue should be one of the best offensive teams in college basketball. I think that they've generally been the last few years. I think this is an elite offensive program now, and I think this is one of those years that is going to is going to back that up even further. Purdue's got everything. They've got, again, the best point guard in the country, maybe the best shooter in the country in Fletcher Loyer. They have one of the best interior scorers, if not the best interior scorer in college basketball in Trey Kaufman-Moran, and a guy who can go inside and outside, score a lot of different ways, really influence games in a lot of different ways. That's a hell of a start. And then you also have a situation here where you're big again, so offensive rebounding comes back into play. The foul totals come back into play. You have to assume that Trey Kaufman-Moran, Daniel Jacobson, Oscar Clough probably get you back into a situation where you can win that category every game. Now, Big Ten officiating sometimes does wonky things, but Purdue is going to be big, and they're going to be aggressive, and they're going to be physical. And if they get to the bonus faster than other people, that has been such a huge part of Purdue's offensive calculus here in the modern era, and it might be again this year. And when you get in that bonus and Fletcher Loyer and Braden Smith have the ball in their hands, if those guys get hit, they're going to make their free throws. It's just an immense advantage when you can win the foul. It's kind of like, I call it hidden productivity. Like, you don't even realize it's happening while it's happening when the opponent picks up 3 fouls in the first 5 minutes and you only pick up 1. And then you're in the bonus in the final 5 minutes of the first half or the second half, whatever. It was such a big advantage for Purdue when it had really, really high gravity interior players. And, Purdue kind of has that now in terms of foul attraction, but they've got size. And, the offensive rebounding piece of it's a really big deal, too, because that's also been a really, really valuable source of offense for Purdue. Possessions, the possession battle really comes into play again this year. You got a pretty good shooting core. I think I calculated it. The players returning to this team this year from last year's team, obviously, shot 42% combined in Big Ten play. That included Jakari Harris. The reason I filtered it to Big Ten play was because I think it's more telling. I think defense is better, and I wanted the number to reflect Jakari Harris getting out of that horrible non-conference slump and really shooting well in Big Ten play. So did I cook the numbers? Yes, I did. Shoot me. But 42% in Big Ten play was excellent. If Purdue can do that, throughout the course of a whole season, they are going to be really hard to stop offensively. And really give yourself margin for error defensively. Purdue's outcomes this season are going to inextricably be linked to where they are defensively. They were really good for part of the season. They were really bad for the second half of the season, Big Ten season. And then they were really good again in the NCAA tournament. If they can get that, if they can build on their best last season and just learn from their worst, if they can be the NCAA tournament Purdue defensively, they're going to win a hell of a lot of games. And I think there is a breadth of experience there where Purdue showed itself how good it can be defensively last season, despite the limitations Purdue is often going to have with its personnel. This is an offensive program now, and its personnel is very, very closely linked to offensive ability, offensive skill. There's normally a trade-off with that, and Purdue has had that trade-off often and had to kind of work around it. And I think that, pardon the mess behind me, I'm only now realizing what a mess that part of my office is. Disregard it. If you're listening as a podcast, you can't see it, so just pretend I never said it. I just think Purdue's got everything offensively and margin for error defensively, which I'm going to say, Matt Painter will never say this, but I can say whatever I want. Purdue doesn't have to be great defensively. It has to be good enough defensively to not screw up a great offense. With that said, this is going to be a year where you're going to hear me say this over and over again. Good offense is good defense, and good defense is good offense. The two are connected. This is such an important point to make in pretty much all of sports, all of team sports, football, basketball. Everything's connected. If Purdue turns the ball over on offense, it's going to be bad on defense because You'll recall them getting blown out in the second half at Indiana after that turnover seizure they had to start the second half. That's not defense. That's offense. Offense led to those baskets. Offense changed the game for Indiana because Purdue did not take care of the basketball. Likewise, if Purdue is now better as a rebounding team because it's bigger, it will be better defensively, presumably, because it has rim protection, it has more defensive rebounding presences. Becoming a better rebounding team is going to make Purdue a better offensive team because it's going to lead to more transition opportunities when you have the best point guard in the country surrounded by a bunch of great shooters, and it is going to take some offense away from the opponent because there won't be as many second chance opportunities for the opponent, presumably, and thus margin for error offensively. I just think there's a lot of stuff lining up here for Purdue in terms of what they can be at both ends of the floor, defensively, offensively, all highlighted by experience and depth. I think, Purdue's got a chance to be deep. I always say about depth is just numbers until it's proven to be depth. And these guys still have to play at Purdue. You still have to see how ready Omer Meyer is to log big minutes. You still have to see how improved C.J. Cox and Jakari Harris are. Those two guys, their ball pressure defensively are a big part of this potential to improve defensively as well. You have to see how healthy Daniel Jacobson is. You have to see what you have in Raleigh Burgess. These are all questions, but there are far fewer questions and far less acute questions. Far fewer, sorry, I made a grave error in that sentence. There are far fewer grave, acute questions for this Purdue team than there are for 99% of college basketball, most of whom have just picked up their team here in the last couple weeks. Purdue did that to a certain extent, but the guys they picked up are on board to complement a group that returns largely intact. Should be a hell of a year for Purdue. It should be, but they got to have a great summer. They got to stay healthy, and they got to take defense seriously. They got to make serious gains from a defensive perspective. Again, I thought that Purdue did a really smart thing before the NCAA tournament in that they showed them video of when they were really good defensively. They didn't necessarily rehash the month prior when they weren't so good defensively. They tweaked some things defensively. They backed off their ball pressure a little bit to become more compact defensively. We'll see what they ultimately want to do systematically defensively, but they should be better. And better defense means better offense, and your offense is already elite. So I've said everything I pretty much have to say here. You have a really favorable, insofar as schedules can be favorable, in the Big Ten. You have a favorable Big Ten schedule, getting Wisconsin, Iowa, and Indiana twice. That's two new coaches, so who the hell knows what they're going to be. Nobody would have thought Michigan would have been what Michigan was last year with a new coach. Purdue got them twice, ended up losing to them twice, in addition to beating them at home. So you never say never anymore because everybody's an unknown. Purdue is the least unknown of all of the teams probably in the Big Ten, let alone college basketball. Maybe college basketball, I should say. I think the non-conference schedule is a monster again. Suits you, sets you up well to earn that one seed that will be the mission this year. Sets you up well to be your best in the NCAA tournament. Once again, the sky's the limit for Purdue this season, long story short. I think people are getting a little cocky right now on social media. And I think that they need to cool their jets a bit because there are questions with this team. They got to stay healthy. They got to get better defensively. The new guys got to show up. But as I said before, there are fewer, less acute questions for Purdue than there are for almost everybody else. So if you're just looking at known commodities, Purdue is very fairly viewed as the best team in the country heading into this season. But we'll have to wait and see. So, hey, that's what I got from my office, my messy office here at home. This has been your GoldandBlack.com Saturday Simulcast, normally hosted by people other than me and including people other than me. But as I said before, our other guys are – it's senior skip day here at GoldandBlack.com. Before I go, I want to implore you, if you're watching this on YouTube, please smash that subscribe button. I don't know why smash has become the preferred verb there. The call to action verb to hit the subscribe button is smash. I don't know why it can't be hit. I don't know why it can't be something more graphic than that. It's just smash the like button. It seems to be the preferred nomenclature in is that proper use of the term nomenclature? I don't know. Anyway, you can fact check me in the comments on YouTube. But like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Tell your friends, tell your Purdue friends. We're happy to have them. We're happy to have all of you at GoldandBlack.com. We put a lot of stuff out here on YouTube. We put a lot of stuff out on social media. It is a fraction, a tiny, tiny little fraction, an eyelash, if you will, of all that's available at GoldandBlack.com. So visit our site, become a member of our website, join our message board, and you will be informed. You will be entertained, and more importantly, you will be informed. It is Friday, in case you can't tell, and today alone, 2 completely fabricated stories from clickbait websites came out on social media. And I don't know how, no judgment here, but some of you who rely on social media to be informed on what's going on with Purdue or whatever your sports team is, you got to have your head on a swivel, because there is a lot of crap out there. And we pride ourselves on cutting through crap and not buying into whatever everybody is talking about that's not legitimate. If you were gaslit by the Braden Smith rumors here a couple months ago, you would have known 3 months in advance. There was never anything to that. So maybe not 3 months, but I was on that, covering it when there was nothing to even cover. But I could have told you while you sat there chewing on your fingernails about whether or not Purdue's All-American was going to go somewhere else because some clown on Twitter told you so. I could have put your mind at ease well in advance of your mind actually being informed. So that's my little pitch for GoldandBlack.com. I ask you to check us out, give us a chance. You won't be disappointed. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So that's what I got. Podcast platforms. 5-star review and a pleasant comment, please, if you're so inclined. That would really help us. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate you watching, reading, listening, all of that stuff. We will be back next week with probably more than just me, with our GoldandBlack.com Saturday Simulcast. So I hope everybody has a great weekend.